Hey you, Sculpts here. Today we are going to be making Olaf from Frozen. Yes, that's right, I'm talking about the first movie, not the second one, because this little scene is when Olaf is singing I Wonder What Happens to Snow in the Summertime, which was an adorable way to introduce him. He's just adorable, he's a great character, and you gotta love him. Now, the reason of why I'm doing Olaf is because, well, I live in Canada and it is still snowing. It's still snowing. I shouldn't be surprised at this, but last winter we had a mild winter. This winter, it is cold. It is really snowing, and we've already gotten 2 feet of snow, which I figured is perfect for making snowmans. So the question is, do you want to build a snowman? Now, Olaf was relatively simple. His body is square, yet soft around the edges, which is interesting because you don't really notice that until you start paying attention to his shapes. So anyway, here I'm making the head, and I'm doing the area for his mouth, and if you look at him, he looks like the snow creature that Elsa summoned to guard her castle. That's a bit what he looks like. So yeah, you can kind of say they're like brothers, which they kind of technically are. I mean, they're created by the same person. Anyway. So once we have his mouth done, we're gonna double check his pieces just to make sure they fit properly. And we don't want to line them up exactly because his body is a bit turned, because I'm going to have him looking downwards into a puddle. Now the feet I made a bit too big, so we're just going to cut off a bit, and then we'll attach them to his bottom piece, and voila. So far so good. I mean, it's a bit leaning, but that's okay. That will all be fixed once he's baked. Now we're gonna fill his mouth with this periwinkle blue, I believe it was called. I don't have the wrapper anymore, not too sure, but it was a nice blue. It was a nice blue that added to his wintry color. So I added that. I had to fix his mouth a bit on the edge, or else it would have looked a bit lopsided. And this is the same blue that we are going to be using to make the circles where his eyes will rest upon, because I didn't notice this at first when I saw the movie, but you can see that around his eyes there's a bit of blue. Really interesting, really cool. Now we're going to be making his carrot nose, which he was really excited to have, which also made Olaf way more adorable. I mean, it was a great movie. Now we're going to be making the 3 twigs for his hair, and there we have the eyebrows, because don't forget that Olaf has eyebrows. He has a very expressive face, and we already have his arms, which is just the same brown. Now we just have to make the 3 rock buttons that he has. Just don't make them too large. You'll be fine. Now we're going to roll out some brown for the base. Yes, that's right. Olaf is going to have a base, but this one's going to be a bit unique. Now once it's all rolled out, we're going to make a part at the front where the blue is going to go, where the water is going to be, and it's going to look a bit like a puddle. Now we're just using this to press down the clay. Now I noticed when I was doing this that if you press down too hard, you're going to make the clay stick to the surface that you're working on, and then you have to be extremely careful when you're peeling it off, or else you're going to rip that clay and then you're going to have this massive hole in it. Not something you want. Now here I'm gonna add some grass. I wasn't too sure about adding grass first, but just having Olaf there on the ground, it felt a bit naked. So I took some green. I took 2 different greens, mixed them a bit together, and made the grass. Now for the grass, instead of making individual blades, we're just gonna take some scissors, put some cuts in it, and that way we can just shape it however we want it and attach it to the base, and it will still look like grass. See, this one's gonna be the border in the back, just so that Olaf won't fall off. Now let's line it on up. And then we are going to be adding a few more pieces of grass, just some bits and pieces, so it doesn't look too naked. And we're gonna leave just enough room so that Olaf will fit comfortably in that little space. Now we're gonna take some blue clay, we're gonna go flatten that out, and voila, it's got water. Anyway, we're gonna pop that into the oven for 25 minutes, and I noticed that the white clay got a bit dirty. Not too dirty, but it might have been, I don't know, residue from my hands, even though I washed them or something, but it just wasn't as fresh. So I decided to paint him just a simple, really thin, well, not thin, but more of a light layer of white paint. And I just slapped that on his head and on his body just to make him look more like fresh snow. That's the interesting part, is that Olaf never gets dirty in the movie. It's very interesting. He does so much and he never gets dirty. Oh well. It's Disney magic. We'll just say it's Disney magic. And once we have the rest of his body colored, we are going to add a bit of color to his nose. It's a basic orange, but I figured it could use a splash of color. But right now we're just basing out his body, making sure it's nice and smooth and even. Now we're gonna paint on his eyes. I'm gonna have him looking down into the puddle because that's the cute thing about this scene, is that Olaf is so naive and innocent that he doesn't realize that the puddle is actually snow. And he's got this very confused expression. So anyway, let's go glue on his buttons. I did turn the buttons a little bit so that they moved with his body. Overall, it's coming together nicely. I'm just gonna pop on the last button, and it's really starting to look like a snowman. Now let's glue on his arms. And the first arm is in place. Now let's glue on the second one, and we will have a headless snowman that is dabbing. See, it looks like it's dabbing. It does. Anyway, we're gonna go pop on his nose, and from his nose we're going to add on his 3 very delicate hairs, even though they're just twigs, not really hair but twigs. This was the part where I had to be really, really careful because I was worried one of those pieces was going to break off. Luckily, that didn't happen. Now we'll glue on his head, and then we're gonna glue him onto the base. Excuse the shaky camera. And that's it, guys. We are done. Here is Olaf. I hope you enjoyed this video, and well, there's going to be a little surprise coming in just a few seconds because my Olaf reveal got a little visitor. My cat was curious to see what was going on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.